Hi, I'm here with Norm Eygenraam, and yes, he has the same name. This is my dad, a special author in the book. He's actually been able to be part of all three of the collaboration books that I've done, and I'm very grateful to have him join in this powerful one as well. So, Norm, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
It definitely uh, is an honor to be part of this book. And as Andrea's dad, obviously, I have a closer connection in her journey, and she and mine. And uh, I have a business as my day job, but this is something that um, is part of my grounding and getting away from things and so it has been, as Andrea said, my third book that I'm involved with. This is definitely the most meaningful one. It is, and that is not because this project is anything different. Well, obviously it is different, but it is. Um, I'm moving along in my growing process, and as such, it has extra meaning to it. And with the four pieces, one of the things that I've really started to embrace, and this is something that Andrea has introduced me to, is the concept of channeled writing, and where you open yourself to possibilities, and then once you get started, you just let the words flow, and it becomes the words of the universe, the words that are being meant to be expressed at that particular time. And so I was involved with a writing workshop with Andrea, and we did this process. And the it came out with going to that place. That place. What is that place? And the other participants in the group were very impressed with it. It was something that just flowed. I really didn't know what was going to happen, but it was a piece that fit perfectly with the idea that Andrea had for the book, and so I was encouraged to submit it with no sort of judgment on my part whether I felt it was good enough or whatever. Um,
But
the other th-
I remember you reread it the next day and you were kind of blown away. You were like, "Wow, I really did write that." And even this morning you're like, "I don't remember much about that piece. What was that about?" And that's what happens when you're in the flow with the channeled writing and whatever too is you write far beyond your conscious present experience and you tap into the bigger message that you're meant to share and that you're meant to receive as well, right?
yeah, exactly, and it's always surprising after the fact of like what has come out when you reread it. I've done different pieces before preparing to deliver messages at church or whatever, and you know, I write this all out and then I go to edit it and find out that, other than maybe a few punctuation marks, there's nothing to edit and this is a really powerful feeling because then you know that those are not your words to deliver, but part of a bigger plan.
Well, and one of the bonuses that people will get when they buy Choices for Change on our launch date is one of the most recent books that I published. It's called Busting Through Blocks, and it actually describes the whole process and gives you writing prompts in order to do what Norm and I are talking about as well. And so if you purchase the book on launch day, then you're going to get that book free to help with your journey of, even if you're not, if you don't consider yourself a writer, because I know when I was publishing the first collaboration book and I asked Norm to be part of it, he was like, oh, but I'm not a writer. What do you want me to be part of it for? What? And now he's opened himself up to this journey of being able to express himself, and it has made a huge impact. So, never just write yourself off as not a writer, because you're always able to share something. Everybody's voice is important. So,
And one of the pieces that I wrote almost as an afterthought, which now Andrea has chosen to open the book with, is the idea about change and what is necessary for change. And that's something that I feel very strongly about, is that unless you are open to change, there is not going to be a change. And the other part that is critical on that is that you have to believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, no matter how much people are going to prod you or push you, it's not going to become your reality. So I feel honored that that little piece is sort of the intro of the book and sets the tone. And one of the so there's two big pieces that I wrote for the book, and the first one is, how did I get here? And this really becomes a description of my faith journey. And it's not a religious piece. It is about my faith and how it became something of my head as an intellectual thing to a matter of my heart. And once it became a matter of my heart, then it really became my reality. But it really was one of those things where I had this moment where it was like, how did I get here? I and being the type of person that I am, I got to figure these things out, because once you figure the thing out, then you can improve on it and you can tweak it and make it better. But that became the beauty of this journey. It wasn't something that I had to figure out. I just had to be open to that change. And once I was open to the change, then it started to become my reality. There were all these, you know, I don't believe in coincidences, but there were all these different things that started happening, whether it was a course that became available to me, or a book that was brought to my attention, or a webinar, or just a short little video. These became all part of these little stepping stones along the way. And so that was how I got here. And so that became the premise of that piece, is to share how I got there. Now, the other piece that I wrote is the has to do with the horse in my life. And I'm still a relatively new horse owner. I've had Rocky now for about 3 years, a little more than 3 years. And the original thought was, when I was writing about my faith journey and going to write about like something to do with Rocky, this was like totally different, like two totally separate pieces. But then as I was writing them and realizing, and this really ties into the book as well, is that they weren't different pieces. It was like the whole concept of change, being open to change. This is very much a premise, a parallel premise behind both pieces. And the piece that I had written about Rocky is, who is the teacher? When I got Rocky, I was expecting that I was going to have to learn things about his care. I was going to teach Rocky different things about proper behavior and, all the different things that you do for safely working with a horse. This became a partnership. that I never imagined would be possible. And the same as in my faith journey, God or universe or whatever is something separate. And this is me, that is, that entity. And once I started understanding how everything is one and together, we are all spirits in this great big universe. And that's the part that really ties into what's going on in the world right now, too, is like if we just started getting away from all of those labels and like dealing with ourselves as one and doing everything for the good of one, how much different things would be. And again, as sort of a side note, the idea about my journey with Rocky, um, this was something, a seed that Andrea planted in my mind a while ago, before this book actually started. And she said she planted that seed as to how my journey with Rocky would be something that people are interested in this journey towards partnership. And so this has been uh, my project sort of on the side when I have time. um,
You have time for what you make time for, right?
exactly. And the things that are priorities, there is always time for if you deem them enough of a priority. So this is something that has been an amazing journey, as well as my partnership with Rocky. And one of these days I will have that to share as well. But in the meantime, uh, like I'm really enjoying this process that Andrea is making available to each one of us. Uh, it is I no longer feel of myself as not a writer. I'm uh, I'm a writer that is more than good enough to share, and I have something interesting to say that, granted, it's not going to be for everybody, and that's quite okay.
Well, and
Uh,
that's part of the beauty of In Choices for Change. We have 13 different authors with 13 very distinct voices, very distinct stories and perspectives. And so if there's one you don't resonate with, there will be 5 or 6 or 10 others that you will, right?
exactly.
And that's one of the things I love about the different collaboration books, is the ability to share so many different viewpoints around the same topic, so that there's something for everyone in the books. And that to me is quite exciting. And looking back on your journey of, in the first book I think you had one piece, and then in the second one you had 2 or 3, and then now you have 4. So you're progressing up there as you're getting more comfortable in your own journey as well, and that's a really exciting thing too. So
But it's not just the comfort level. Obviously, comfort level has a lot to do with it, but it's then an opportunity of just going to a deeper place and
well, and the books
really,
are getting deeper and deeper as well.
you know. So
The topic of this one is definitely a harder hitting one than some of the previous ones.
and Andrea had mentioned a couple of days ago about some bonuses associated with the book, and one of the things that I've become comfortable with, um, and that I've shared on many different venues, is leading in a prayer. And like it's something that a lot of people feel put on the spot if they have to say a prayer. They don't know what to say. And so my little offering for this is going to be a prayer for the success of the book, but particularly getting away from our definition of success. We have to be open to these changes. Now we have to let ourselves be led, and we hope that the universe has big things in mind for this book, that it's going to reach and touch a lot of people. But our prayer, the prayer is that we are open to these changes and open to being led so that we can serve in the best possible way. And in that part, I am looking forward to being part of this book.
And that will be available for anyone who purchases on the launch date. There's a whole collection of wonderful bonuses that the authors are offering up to celebrate the launch day, and I'm going to be really excited and grateful to start to share that with everybody as well, and sort of tease a little bit about what's coming for the launch day later this month. So thank you so much, Norm, for being part of the book and taking the time to do this interview and tell us about your pieces. So I much appreciate your time.
My pleasure.
Thank you.